Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. To make this episode fun, shit, I messed up my intro. To make sure that we don't say anything negative, because we keep it positive here.
We've only done 165 episodes.
We try to keep it, I was multitasking. We try to keep it positive here on the podcast. If we don't keep it positive, if we say anything negative at all, you're going to hear this sound. That sound means we need to take a drink, and we hope you drink along with us. This is our second episode of the night, so we're feeling a little loose by this point. So drink along with us, people.
So pour yourselves a glass, crack a shot, crack a tinny, whatever you're going to do.
Crack a tinny.
And we're going to talk about the film that asks the question, why doesn't Roger Deakins answer my emails?
Okay. Cheers. Crack a tinny. We're trying to get our Australian demographic up by our
we only had one download from New South Wales. Queensland has abandoned us. So
quick update, people. Dave's slurring his speech because he's drunk from the previous episode. John is very drunk because he hasn't eaten anything all day.
And true story.
Jeff's getting there.
And wait,
no ice in this one.
No, in fact, it's warm. I'm pissed. I should have gotten more ice at this. This episode, it reminds you, it beckons you. This is Empire of Light. This movie beckons you to remember a time where a ticker taker. Fuck.
It's going well.
Are you gonna buzz? No, I'm just gonna.
Nope. You punish yourself for that one.
Yeah, you did it all your own.
This episode takes you back to a time where you can a ticket ripper at the movie theater can own a 1,200-foot ocean view beachfront property. Fuck it. I fucked up my whatever. You guys.
Really weird. No, I know what you mean. Dude. There were a few things like that. Yeah.
I should say as long as you're white, but I don't think we're at the point to make jokes about that yet. But that is it. But that's important to this movie. That does come up in this conversation. I shouldn't have said anything. I really. People, we are the Love of Cinema podcast. We're talking about Sam Mendes's. That it is the joke I just made is relevant to the content.
It is. Of the yes, it's about the movie for sure. Of course,
and I say that with love. So Sam Mendes written and directed Empire of Light. Roger Deakins shot this, as Dave alluded to. 2-time Academy Award winner, 79-time nominee Roger Deakins, starring. This is my annual reminder of saying that Olivia Colman is one of our great actors of all time. And because she comes from comedy, she doesn't get paired with the Kates, Blanchett and Winslet, or Meryl Streep or Viola Davis. She doesn't get paired with them, but she's there. Every single time she's in a movie, she's great.
She's joining the MCU. She's going to be fine.
Get the fuck out. Is she really?
Man.
Yeah.
What is she doing?
Which phase? 7? Which phase is she going to be in?
It's phase 5, I believe. She's picking up, and this is after Disney does the reshuffle where they're apparently going for quality over quantity. But she's going to be playing someone in the Secret Invasion series, which leads into
the fuck is that?
How did they get
Secret Invasion is a big storyline in Marvel. So yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
great. That's so important.
She apparently watched him and she was like, yeah, no, I'd love to do it. And she's like,
she's kids, doesn't she?
She was like, no, I know, like it's a lot of filmmakers don't like it and stuff like that, but it was just so much fun. Was her quote? She had fun.
Fine. The shoots are long. I can't imagine how fun a 7-month shoot is. But
sure, she had a great time.
No, John, your face is getting red. How you doing?
Not the TV.
Can't stop laughing at you, dude.
All right, so talking about Empire of Light. If you're new to our podcast, positive, we try to keep it spoiler free for a couple minutes, so that you can get our initial takeaway, what we thought, what we feel, as opposed to the New York Times and their fucking bullshit piece of garbage theater writers. Those pieces of shit. If you hate those fucking critics, if you hate glib, stuck up, arrogant pieces of shit, insensitive, naive pieces of garbage like Jesse Green at the New York Times, then you should listen to our podcast for like 10 minutes or so.
He's coming for you, Jesse.
Then you should listen.
Jesse, you're toast.
He knows what he did. He had to put his Twitter on private. He knows what he did because he can say reviews about whatever he wants, and as soon as somebody says something about him at work, all of a sudden he has to go into hiding. But fine.
Oh, wow.
K-pop the musical people should still be on Broadway, and he fucking basically single-handedly closed the show. It wasn't selling well, but he could have really helped, and instead he was a dickhead. So anyway, we try to not be those stuffy arrogant, conceited podcast critics by just telling you what we think, what we feel. We love movies. We love drinking beer and talking about movies. So we hope you do too. And then at the end, we'll give you our recommendations of what we've been watching. But first, John, let's shout our people out with a quick sponsor, the thing that we do.
The thing we do.
5 minutes in
beer
of bullshit.
sponsor.
Damn it.
We have a beer sponsor named Carlos Barroso. You can find his handle in the show notes. It's at cbarroso.beer on the Instagram if you want to follow him and share his love and support and passion for brewing delicious IPAs, ales, lagers, all the beers. He's fun to watch if you want to get on that handle and give him some love. We also have a in-house resident musician who provides all the music on this episode and every single episode by the name of Dasein, Dasein. All of his music is available on every single music platform. So go check it out. Download for free.
Whose house is he at now?
You guys. What?
You said he was in-house. Whose house is he staying at now?
You're the only one with the spare bedrooms. We just recorded our episode on The Whale with Brendan Fraser. I forgot to mention his divorce. I was going to do that, but we don't have to do that. So we are here.
No, you mentioned it. You made a joke about it. You insensitive cunt.
Jesus.
Fair enough. Did I make a joke about it?
Mm-hmm.
He owes $50,000 a month in child support, and they didn't negotiate when he stopped making movies. So he owes $600,000 a year, and even when he doesn't make movies, he still has to pay that. I mean,
that's why The Mummy has been in syndication for so long. He was like, TBS, TNT, now, you killing me.
Guys, get it out there. Come on. She insists that he was hiding upcoming projects at the time of the settlement so that he should have owed more. Anyway.
Oh, God, that's good.
We're talking about Empire of Light, but first we have to go through our gripes. We have to get through our gripes of the week, people. So I promise we're going to get to Empire of the Week, but we have things that we just need to get off our chest. So we like to go through our gripes of the week. I should use this time also to say, please like, subscribe, follow. We really do appreciate it. I got somebody that I work with. I listen to my pod and I didn't even promote it because it's a school, so I don't promote this podcast when there's children around. And the guy whispered in my ear that anyway. So we really
kids,
appreciate it.
You shouldn't be listening to this.
We love you. Keep listening to this.
If you love it or hate it, who cares? Just send us a review. Dave will respond kindly, usually. And but first, we got to go through our gripes of the week, and then I promise Empire Light coming up next. Fellas, this is our second episode. Do you have anything up your sleeve that you want to gripe about?
I'm all griped out. What do you got,
John?
I'll share the oldest LA gripe in the history. You want to hit the timer?
It's on.
I've been busy as fuck for the past year and a half being out here with school, but at the end of each semester I have 1 or 2 nights where I get to go out with some friends, and after we see our screenings at the end of each semester, it is so hard to go out in the city of Los Angeles because there's no transit and you can't really drink too much because everybody has to drive somewhere, and you probably have to drive 20 or 30 minutes. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw my hat into the ring. I'm officially complaining about the fact that it is difficult to have a nightlife in Los Angeles, and the bars close at 2, and it's really weird.
I feel like you just have to live with somebody that you can split Ubers with. That's the because you have to Uber everywhere, and it's expensive. I'm just
going to stop you right there because we stopped over for one night in LA, and we got fucking hammered.
Because we went out in your hotel, you bastard. We were
at the bar around the corner.
You guys are like the White Lotus, where it's why are they eating at the hotel restaurant every night? They're in Italy. Dave went all the way to Los Angeles to go out in the hotel bar.
We had dinner at the hotel. Then we found a bar around the corner that was great.
It was really fun. You got to walk. Honestly, it's just not a pedestrian friendly city, and I have to drive 20 or 30 minutes everywhere. So I can't get drunk when I'm in public. It's weird. Not that I need to get drunk.
It's not like New York where you just get drunk and sit in a doorway and stuff.
I know, dude. I was spoiled by New York, where the city, the culture is going all night, and of course you don't have to drive if you don't want to. It's just really weird going out here. I feel like I haven't made as many friends because of it, because nobody wants to go out at night. Yeah. It's so strange. It's such a weird thing.
Jeff, we need to go. Jeff, we need to go to LA and liven them up.
Okay, you guys, I'll give you 2 words, and you get to choose the word, and that word is the gripe. Books or woods? Books or woods?
Woods, for sure.
Okay, gripe timer.
Jeff's got woods.
Gripe timer.
What is this called?
Okay, people in movies and TV shows, when you're running in the woods, you got to get your knees up. I need high knees. Stop tripping. It's so fucking ridiculous. If you're running in the woods, you're going to trip. I know it every single time. High knees, all right? You got to get up and over those branches. You want to be stepping on those branches. You don't want to be running into them and tripping and falling on your knees. And of course, it was Wednesday, which is another great show. The kid falls. He loses his glasses. It's like, okay, come on, man. And I know he's not an athletic kid, but like, you got to get those knees up. You got to do it. Also, there weren't any branches on the ground. So what did he trip on? You know what I mean? Come on, you got to just high knees, people. That's all I'm saying. High knees.
I think my ultimate example of that is when Macaulay trips and loses his glasses in My Girl and then gets stung by all those bees. You remember that shit?
Yeah, because everybody else has been saying, oh, that was really dramatic. That made my childhood. So I'm going to do the same thing, but with no bees or branches on a closed set.
Jeez.
What are we talking about? I can't even remember what movie we're doing.
We are talking about Empire of Light.
Listen to our whale intro and listen to this one and see why we drink during this podcast. We're talking about Empire of Light.
Very messy, which is a shame.
This is written and directed by Sam Mendes, starring Olivia Colman, Michael Ward, who our British friends would know from Top Dog, and those of you who like good podcasts like ours will know him from the Team Deakins podcast. I listened to him on that, and it was fantastic. Shout out. Colin Firth and Tobey Jones got and credits. What are they called when it's like and Tobey Jones?
Colin got and Tobey got with. So they both got up a notch. You're not top billing, but we'll give you an additional. I feel like what is that word, Jeff, in English?
In English,
what is an and? Yeah. What do we call an and or a
You're showing me a circle.
You're talking about the ampersand thing?
Well, it's an and symbol.
I really don't know. Sorry.
Conjunct.
It doesn't matter. Let's keep going. None of us are smart enough to know.
I forgot Schoolhouse Rock. Never got cast in that musical. So
that was random.
Reviews not fantastic, but
hold on, wait. What grade did you audition for the Schoolhouse Rock, the musical, and you didn't get cast? Hold on. When did this trauma occur?
No, shut up.
Conjunction junction. Watch your function.
If it's a conjunction, it's not, right? It's not a conjunction.
I don't fucking know, dude.
An article? Is it just an article? No, that's like a the. An and. No,
it might be an article.
It can't be an article. An and and a.
I'm typing.
Are you?
John's looking something up.
Are you sure?
Oh my god, can we please talk about the fucking movie?
It is a conjunction.
Oh my god, we figured it out.
Oh,
thank God for Adobe Volume 11.
Listeners, just so you know, we always, whenever we have two films to talk about, we always are like, which one should we talk about first so that we're not too drunk for the inappropriate one to be too drunk for? I'm glad we made this choice.
Yes,
it probably would not have been as polite of a conversation if we were wasted for the whale. All right, let's go. What are we doing?
We were as sober as possible considering how drunk we were talking about the whale. We're talking about Empire of Light. This is set in the early 1980s. It's actually set in, I believe, 1980.
1980,
and the English coastal town.
Yeah.
We should say the English south
I was 8
coast.
at that time.
The English, you don't gotta age yourself. Although Dave, happy birthday coming up in a week. Can't wait.
Yeah.
The south of England, which is, I imagine, a little bit warmer.
When I
than
turn
the north
50, do I have to stop doing this podcast?
Are you the one that's trying to get into this movie or not? Like, do you want us to talk about it? I can't tell who's the one who wants to get on with this or not. We gave your birthday the shout out. Sorry.
Dave has to be at work in like 6 hours.
I'm old and emotional and the youth don't respect me anymore.
Sorry, Dave.
Okay.
Get off the lawn, motherfucker.
So anyway, let's read the IMDb pitch, and then you guys take it away with your initial takeaways, spoiler free, what you think, what you feel. A drama about the power of human connection. Boy, that's not how they should have started this blurb, I don't think.
Yeah,
dude, it's taken us 14 minutes already. You can't criticize them.
Woof.
Okay.
Yeah, that is.
All right.
Buzz me too.
What are you buzzing me for?
Okay.
Okay.
You're the first one who said that's not how they should have started.
Could be bad.
Okay. A drama about the power of human connection during turbulent times, set in an English coastal town in the early 1980s. Jesus Christ. Dave, since your birthday's coming next week, which you just can't stop talking about, kidding. Why don't you start first? What did you think? What did you feel watching Empire of Light with your boy, Roger Deakins?
Ooh. Okay. First of all, Deakins is the Emperor of Light. Let's just say that right now. Straight up front.
Yeah, dude. It's kind of so beautiful.
A little
so good.
You're right. It's too punny, you know?
This is a most beautiful piece of work.
It is.
I enjoyed this immensely.
Nice.
Also in every Deakins film, there's that one shot where it's like that's a Deakins shot. There were about 4 of them in this, which was great. I feel like there was such fantastic character work. Like every single person is given their chance to be real, and they're like distinctly unique. Yeah. So like I really enjoyed the progression of this. I enjoyed this movie immensely. I walked out of this feeling really, really good.
Do you have that list of 4 Deakins shots in your back pocket?
Yeah, I'm going to quiz you on that later. I want to know what they are.
I'm going to go ahead and jot this down to make sure we come back to it there. So we got the 4 Deakins shots.
4 is a number I threw out. They might have been more, they might have been less.
I think there were. There were a few.
You'll have to go see it to find out.
You got 15 minutes. Will be in spoilers. You have 4 Deakins shots. I would love to hear about because I thought this movie was beautiful to behold.
You can hear about how you can fuck yourself.
Yeah, you fucking asshole.
John, what'd you think?
All right, so I'm not gonna lie. I went in with not like crazy high expectations, but this movie snuck up on me because I was kind of waiting for a story to emerge, even though, it teaches you that it's going to be about characters like very quickly. And so I was on board. I wasn't disappointed or anything, but whatever story that does end up being what you might think of as the plot. And I don't even want to use that word because it's not a plot driven film, but the story does arrive later than maybe you think it's going to. But this is absolutely one of those that I kind of can't stop thinking about. I've been listening to the score since seeing it. I've been thinking about how it made me feel. It's very tonal. It has it is a story that revolves around a location. Unlike The Whale that we talked about, which is a play that is forced into a location because all of the action takes place in it. This kind of revolves around a location, even though you don't feel like you're constrained like inside of this theater. Like it's really remarkable how they do that. But
it also does speak of like theater as an escapism as such, because they have their own little bottled world where this stuff is happening outside and then it starts to influence the inside. So
I will say this is my only possibly critical thing. And I don't blame any of these guys for this, but this is like the 5th movie I've seen this year that has a little bit of nostalgia and, dare I say, sentimentality for movies. And I don't know if these people knew they were all doing. Yeah, I get it. We all did the pandemic. All these guys.
It's because everyone went to streaming, and now they're like, theater is good. Theater is nice. Come back to theater. This is why theater is good. And they're right. So, but.
So I did think like if this movie had come out in another year where that wasn't the case, I think it would have touched me even more than it did. Yeah. So I'm excited to watch this movie like 15 years from now when I'm just watching this canon again and kind of going through it. And it's not in the context of Fableman's Bardo and Armageddon Time and all these things that kind of make you think about we all love movies, but when we talk about it all the time, it kind of loses some power. That's not a fault of this movie. That's not a criticism of this movie. He didn't know they were doing that too. So I don't really want to focus on that, but there is a little bit of that. I mean, so if you're like us and you've seen everything, more than just that. Yeah. And I don't want to say sentimental because I think Sam does a good job of taking you up to the edge where nostalgia slips into sentimentality, and he doesn't really go there the way the opening of Fableman does.
Sort of. It's not like the film itself is sentimental. It preys on your sentimentalities. Like they reveal in the theater that there's another theater above it that is closed and abandoned. And it's like it's that adventure of finding this undiscovered country above the theater, and it's your own private space that is now abandoned and it's just yours, and that sort of thing that really spoke to me.
Yeah, it did speak to me too. And come on, I don't want to sound like an asshole here. I think sentimentality can be low-hanging fruit. Nostalgia is the righteous sibling of sentimentality, and there was a lot of nostalgia in this film. I guess I went into it thinking I was just going to live in 1980 into 81, as opposed to like thinking about the magic of the past.
Yeah.
I thought I was just going to be in the past.
I think we came in from two different points, because I welcomed that sentimentality. I enjoyed everything they took me on through in this. So,
all right. So, well, don't get me wrong. It didn't end up bothering me.
Yeah,
but when it was the way they would introduce the
film, that's what it's about. Like, take the hint in that, you can have different reactions to stuff.
This is true. This is true. I still don't. I'm still a film lover, and I miss those kinds of movie theaters. And I try to go to, like, I still was affected by it. But I think when we got past the introductions to those segments of the projection room, the new theater, not the theater itself. I loved the opening sequence. Then I was able to concentrate on the characters, which I think was the focus of this story, which is what he wanted me to be thinking about. And it did get there. And I was able to just kind of sink and just kind of enjoy. Dare I say, I think Sam Mendes has just made his first British film. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. I think he made his Ken Loach. This is a tiny film. He happened to be working with amazing actors and amazing collaborators like Roger Deakins and James Deakins.
Reznor and
Atticus Finch and Trent and Ross. Yeah,
Atticus Finch. That's right. Atticus Finch stepped in here and gave a dramatic speech.
Yeah. Excuse me. I do want to talk about them a little bit later, because I'm pretty sure this is the very first time that he has not worked with Thomas Newman. Oh. And I was very aware of it throughout the entire thing. And I love this score. We can talk about that later. But I think this is his first, like, smaller British film. And I appreciate it so much for that. In a way, I kind of wish that maybe he would just market it as, yes, I'm the guy who made those movies you've heard of, but this is not that. Because I think people might want to go see something that is tiny and kind of exists on another plane.
I enjoyed that on that level, because I walked in knowing absolutely nothing about this film. I didn't even know Deakins shot it. I walked in knowing nothing.
I didn't until I said, Dave, when are you seeing The Whale? And you said, I thought we were seeing the Roger Deakins movie. And I went, oh, that's when I knew that. I knew a little less than you did.
Yeah.
This movie's beautiful. I think I'm hearing. I don't want to say. Okay, we'll talk about what you guys want to talk about in a little bit. I will say I really like this movie. Olivia Colman is a hero. I heard somebody recently say it almost felt like she was a co-writer in this movie. Not to say that she actually was, but in the sense that her performance, you can't separate her performance from the movie. Having said that, I'm not going to say I wish or they should have done something different. You're already saying, like, it's a character-driven story. I was like, it shouldn't have been. It should have been her movie, because I think that it was trying to be a slice of life first-person thing, and then you had the two characters, and I don't think it handled that particularly well for me. I loved playing with both of them, because I thought Michael Ward. I thought if this was a bigger film, this would be he'd be a bona fide, this would be a breakout star performance. I know he did Top Dog 2 seasons, which is a big British thing, but like he could be the next Daniel Kaluuya after this film. Like, he's so big, just like where one movie you're a star and you have the back catalog to follow it up. And of course, Olivia Colman's gold. And I actually love the tonal shift, because this opens as a slice of life and then it turns into a drama, and then it turns into it's almost hard to pivot. Then it turns into like an action film of sorts, but it doesn't really go full. I feel
like it kind of deals with mental health more than the action.
Yeah, and that comes later. I mean, they hint at it early on, but it seems honestly the tone vibe that I got at the beginning was Albert Nobbs. That's how sort of like, step by step, this is what we do. This is our day in the life. Yeah. And I was like, maybe this is going to be Cinema Paradiso or something. Again, everything doesn't need the comparison. And this movie was beautiful, and the performances were great. It's just, I think I forget about sentimentality. For me, it was a lot of nostalgia, and it seemed like we were bringing up different things, and we didn't go full into them. So the stuff with the pigeon in the theater upstairs, it doesn't have to wrap up, but it's like, we never really did anything with it, you know? And so it was their special place, and then it got taken away. But
I don't know.
It just
No. I know.
We were
but
dancing around it a lot, and it was fun and entertaining and beautiful. And it just didn't pinch me. That's all. Anyway, but it was great. I hope everybody sees it.
Do you feel the way that I was talking about though? Because I think I agree with you mostly, but since seeing it, I kind of can't stop thinking about all of it. And it makes me wonder if he did that thing that I heard Inarritu say this in an interview recently, and I'm not comparing this to Bardo because I think Bardo is like a very different kind of movie and very successful in different ways. But Inarritu was talking about how this metaphor he's kind of been thinking about as a writer recently is that the difference between deep sea diving and snorkeling as a storyteller, where you want to take them below the weight of the ocean with certain kinds of drama? Or do you want to take them to this place where they can see what's happening, but they don't have to go underneath the weight of it?
You're right. And I will say, this is good. And I was really touched in those hospital scenes at the end. I was really touched by them because they didn't oversell it. They didn't show us. You're right. Because
well, I almost had that, and I mean this with the most respect I could possibly say. And this is what I mean when I was saying a truly like indie British movie. It's not about it even being British. It's just about it. It almost had that kind of independent, not movie of the week. Like I don't want to degrade it at all, but like it felt so small that almost what it was trying to afford to give us was just a glimpse of these issues of human behavior. And then we really needed to keep thinking about them to make it real.
Yeah.
And it did. I think it did get there for me because I'm still thinking about it. But Jeff, I know exactly what you mean. When I was in the theater, when I was watching it, I was a little bit like, what are they doing? Like they have all these characters they're introducing.
Yeah.
And yet they're not really developing enough of an arc for me to anticipate some kind of massive, we used the word catharsis last episode, something like that. I eventually knew that they weren't trying to get that for me, but I wasn't quite sure why. I was like, you have these amazing characters set in this unbelievably dynamic and violent backdrop of British culture at this time period, and yet you're kind of just putting your toe in the water for all of these issues. And I just wasn't quite sure. But by the end of it, I felt like I did start feeling what he wanted me to feel. But did you not feel that way?
No, I did. The end of my negative react, because I want to spin it back to positive. I just kind of wanted to say that, just that like it didn't necessarily agree with me, but you're right. I'm going to keep thinking about it, and I love simple nuance of just characters, and I love that Olivia Colman had this, interaction, and then the relationships changed between her depending on where she was, and I love how she went with it, and went with the flow and didn't. There were no breakout scenes where there were no confrontation scenes. They did let things be a little, honestly, in a weird way, it was almost this Americana style, even though it was British, where it's like, you just go with the flow and not everything has to be a deep rooted confrontational drama. And I did really appreciate that. And I'm rooting for all these characters and what happens next. So I think that as a moment in time, is it a little weird that she never watched a movie and then she had this weird cathartic moment with Tobey Jones? Yeah, I guess so. But at the same time,
those moments bothered me the most.
Yeah. So because
there were moments. Sorry, go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
But just like, I could tell if it was obvious that it was the Cinema Paradiso moment, or like it just I don't know what was happening, because it was a very specific thing. Because that was a situation where it was a very specific thing.
I think you guys are looking too much for the big picture, and I feel like Tobey Jones, when we got to that moment on the stairs, and she was like, "Can you show me a film?" and he shared a bit of himself. It kind of, this whole story was about those characters inside that cinema.
It's true.
There were other bigger things going on outside, but it was their story. Those bigger things occasionally influenced it, but it was happening somewhere else.
I'll level with you. I don't think I'm looking for the big picture. I think I'm trying to explain why I didn't leave the theater with the gut punch that, say, Banshees of Inisherin did. I'm sorry that we're doing this. The end of the year, we're seeing good movies, and it's like when I left Banshees, I couldn't talk to anybody.
These are good comparisons to make.
But and that was just like a simple little film, a simple little dialogue that was brilliant. And it's like, in this film, I didn't leave thinking the same way, but at the same time, I level with you because you're right. there were so many moments in the theater where it was just simple theater things and the life that was happening that are very memorable, and I will cherish them for a long time, that don't connect to a single big picture that would have packaged a response from me. So I'll level with you on that, Dave. I think you're right. Thank you.
But I do want to agree with you, though, that there were two moments
should we go into spoilers right now?
But keep it positive. I think this movie's very worth seeing. And I hope
spoilers is a thing where we don't ruin the movie. That's a positive thing.
I know, but I don't want people to leave with us thinking like this is murky. Like, go see this movie if you want to stop it now. And I hope it plays well at home, because in the theater, when you commit to these kinds of things, will. I hope so.
I think it will, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind leaving people before we go to spoilers thinking like, I don't think these reviews are getting incredible reviews. This is sitting somewhere subjective for people. It's sitting in the high 6, low 7 for people.
We've literally had 3 different reactions to it. So
so go see it and tell us what you think.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
And that fireworks scene. Oh my God, that fireworks scene. Like, go see it for that. It was amazing. Okay.
Yeah, it's pure cinema, right?
Yeah.
There are 2 moments specifically that I can recall, and I think there were a couple more, to be honest with you, but I didn't make notes.
Are we in spoilers now? Should I fire this off?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yeah. Where what you're talking about, Jeff, did distract me, and that's all I'm really looking for. I just don't want to be distracted. I can kind of get doing this podcast, trying to be a good audience member, whatever. I can kind of get on board with whatever you're giving to me, unless it's something distracts me from the viewing experience. And I feel like this movie was trying to establish a very grounded sense of realism and naturalism, even though Roger Deakins shot it and it has a little bit of a heightened realism aesthetic, just because every shot was beautifully composed and beautifully lit, even though it's supposed to feel natural. We're in a place like a movie theater where it can be a little bit heightened. I'm fine with that. But in terms of behavior, blocking, I thought they were teaching me to think that this was supposed to be realism and actually taking place in actual 1980 south coast of UK.
Yeah.
But then the scene where the guy refused to get rid of his chips was it threw me off, because that took so long. And there were things that were unrealistic about it, like the people behind him who didn't say anything, who just stood there. There was an enormous amount of... The movie's about to start.
I mean, that was
nobody
a very
said anything.
British reaction from my
guess
perspective.
So, but maybe. I don't know. I think it took...
They're almost as polite as Canadians.
It went too far, though, because they didn't even get the extras behind them to give a chance to be polite. So that threw me out. And then the fact that, yes, they established that she had never really watched most of the movies. That's not really what she did. It didn't feel like it was established enough for them to go so far with the viewing experience of being there, which that touched me a little bit personally, just because I don't know if you guys remember, but I watched that for the first time a few months ago. And that last line, life is a state of mind, like fucking rock. I can't stop thinking. I'm still thinking about it. It blew me away. But it didn't feel like it belonged in this movie. The way she saw it and the heightened way that she experienced it, I kind of felt like there were a few moments like that I wonder if I would have gotten even more out of downplaying it in the storytelling, because they had established such a kind of a, yes, we're in this place that is really beautiful where these magic stories happen, but they happen in here and up here subjectively. And I feel like the language was telling me that we don't really have access to here and here. We just get to kind of live with these people. And then a couple moments like that happened where it kind of took me out of it.
Well, that's funny, because that's a lot of the stuff I responded to was the stuff that happened outside the theater, which was like the abandoned stuff upstairs, the stuff on the beach, like all of that stuff I responded to more than what actually happened in the theater.
Me too.
What about... Can we just talk about the two of them? Because that's this movie, right? It's Olivia Colman, and then essentially this, what I don't want to say should be a slice of life, but what in most movies would be a slice of life. And then Michael Ward comes in, the character, his character name in this is Steven. And then you have the first scene where he's still a secondary character, and then very quickly he becomes almost a co-lead for large sections of this movie. And their relationship...
He's supporting actor if you don't want to go into category fraud.
I mean, he's definitely a supporting actor, but for periods of this film, it really is the two of them.
Yeah, it is the two of them.
And it's I wonder. We don't need to get into the Sam Mendes why this happens, but it opens up this sense of meaning that it's hard to define. And it's not just like movies have meaning. Thankfully, this person who works at the movie doesn't just find the answers in movies. Thank God. Especially with we can take a pass on like her watching this one movie and the cathartic experience that was. But the two of them together, it's so infectious that's like, with the beauty and everything that's been set up and the bizarreness of this relationship, but also how they both understand that this isn't going to happen forever. And
is the bizarreness of the relationship because she's older than him? Because I thought that was a very bold choice.
Well, and it comes, yes, fine. I'll say that. And she's also very lonely, and he's young and healthy, and apparently has no problems going out.
She is also not mentally well.
Yeah, so by this point, when they start getting together, we don't know the extent of it other than she's been on lithium. But at the same time, this is a period where they could have prescribed lithium to anybody, you know?
Yeah. So. But oh my God, when she breaks, she's fucking terrifying.
I mean, she's the best. I'm telling you, we have to put her on the list.
That's the fucking Oscar clip right there when she breaks.
Which one at the Sandcastles?
When she's having the wine.
When she's drinking.
When she's locked in her apartment and she's literally going off a nut and then the cops break in and she's sitting there with the suitcase. But the scene before that where she's losing her fucking mind.
When they come in and she's just sitting there after all the yelling. It's so good. That's so good.
But the scene before that is like she's terrifying.
There are 3 taboos in their relationship, right? The fact that she's older, that he's black, and that she is mentally ill. Which the first one, that third one is first, second, third. That third one, the mental instability.
Okay,
I know it is not established immediately. So really, we initially have these 2 taboos that we're dealing with.
But it is. It's just not. It could just be loneliness. But we should know that lithium means personality disorder. We should know that.
Lithium is
we go to her doctor's appointment with
our
her. Our
parents' generation would have known that, I think. Sorry, Dave.
We see.
I got that.
Yeah, we see.
Yeah, see.
I am your father.
No, we see that immediately. But I think it's such a fun way to establish. It's such a fun way to establish that kind of slice of life thing. When you deal with 2 people they don't really do very intentionally, they worked for me. They don't try to explain at all why these 2 people are interested in each other. Well, and I really loved that.
Yeah, I love that as well. Cause like sometimes it just happens. It's like, there's a click. Yeah. And that made that real.
Guys, can I just talk about the fireworks scene when he comes back? Because this is where the movie became the 2 of them.
It's like, hey, Rog, go and film some stuff exploding in the night sky. All right.
So brilliant.
Fucking beautiful.
That he has his hat, he has his nice outfit and the shoes, and this is the nostalgia that's like fucking. It's you're not going to see him in the club. You're not going to go there because it's still her movie. Yeah, but. They're going out with the crazy girl at the theater, the crazy hair, who's probably going to love Blondie in a year or 2, or whoever else, foreigner, etc. And then as Olivia Colman's leaving, doing the regular routine, and it's New Year's Eve, and I almost forgot it was New Year's Eve, which I guess was good on Sam Mendes. And then he comes back and he says, "I want to apologize about earlier. You're right." And also, I wanted to know if you had anybody to watch the fireworks. And it wasn't romantic necessarily, but it was sweet at the same time, where it's like he actually would have been okay to go alone.
Yeah, it's like
if she wasn't there, he would have been okay.
It's funny because like a lot of films will not go there with the older female romantic interest. Like they won't do it that way because for some reason in film it's a little bit of a taboo. And I feel like they eased you into it where it was like when it happened it was okay.
Well, and it just happens,
which is good because it's totally fine. Like that should happen.
Well, we shouldn't assume that every young, attractive people who hang out are going to do it. It's apparently messing up our generation or the younger generation in real time to just assume that a sexual interaction is going to happen every time they see another attractive person. So we shouldn't assume that. And at the same time, we shouldn't assume that people who you would think wouldn't be together can't have some form of intimacy, even if it's not kissing and stuff. But them going,
I'm talking about strictly from a Hollywood's perspective. They are not comfortable.
And hopefully,
portraying
I know
an older romantic lead, and when they're female.
I love, you know, there's other examples, but Kate Winslet with Mare of Easttown, and she made sure the story got out where she was like, I refuse to let them CGI anything out, you know, to make it look a certain way. Like, I want them to show it real, raw. I don't care if I don't look as good as I did in Titanic, etc.
Playing 7 Degrees of Sam Mendes here.
Interesting.
That and what was the other older female? The Reader, when Kate did that as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Helen Mirren, you know,
but again, I think what was so refreshing about these was that, like, I feel like those 2 roles that you're talking about, it was kind of like, isn't this interesting? Like, I felt that way in a good way, that was part of their storytelling. Whereas this, I don't think I was supposed to feel like, isn't this crazy? I was just in the theater with them. I was just in the cafe with them as they started kissing, and when they were having sex and seabirds, I was just like, yeah sure.
Like,
anything can happen in this little seaside town.
I mentioned,
but that was the thing. They eased you into accepting that, which is a thing for an American audience. Like it
was very gentle.
It seems to be a very big American taboo.
But I also love that this wasn't made for an American audience, and Sam Mendes just trusted that we would find it if it was right. But I mentioned I love the fireworks scene, but I also love the hospital scene, and you know, the racial stuff that comes in early 80s in Britain, and how that was a turning point.
Oh my god, the guys that played the fucking neo-Nazis were terrifying.
They were terrifying.
They nailed it.
That was done, I thought, with class. I hope it was done with class on their end, but for me, I thought that was done. The characters, but was done with class.
I feel like those guys like hugged everyone after they did
I hope so.
Scene,
I hope they went up to Michael Ward and he went, guys, I'm all right. And it's like,
romper stomper shit.
But the scene, you know what I loved? So we know we're in the future. We're in spoilers. I loved when it turns out to be his mom, and that guess was in my mind, but I'm not one to be like, that's the mom. Like, I'm literally like, they haven't told me it's the mom, so I'll play along. It's totally fine. It might not be. She has the accent, so maybe it's not, you know, but it
Name
probably
tag
is.
was right there.
Okay, that's on me then.
Yeah, I think you were supposed to know it was his mom. Keep going.
Anyway, I loved when all the mom asked, because we're talking about basically a sexual relationship, rather than the mom say, what, to your point, an American film would have done is be like, you fuck my son, you have sex with my son, whatever. She said, did you go to the beach with my son? And she said, yeah, we went to the beach. Yep. But it was like, but what I remember from the beach is not the fact that they're in a romantic relationship. Later, what I remember was it was yes, there was a mental illness issue at the beach, but at the same time, it was a lovely trip to the beach.
But also, it was like, I don't know what your deal is, but you make him happy.
And I think the mom knows what Olivia Colman knows, which is this can't be forever, but for this period of time, which is this is the best nostalgia. Not when nostalgia is eternal, but when it's so specific. It can only be eternal. Shakespeare, right? Every Shakespeare play is set in a specific time. Even if we don't know, it's like, oh, Denmark, 1300s, 1400s, but it's not now. Whenever you try to make a Shakespeare play now, it sucks. Everybody trying to make a Shakespeare play now, stop it. It sucks every time. Don't set these shows in the don't set them in Vietnam, because there's going to be one scene where you go, you know, the Viet Cong didn't talk that way. They do it all the time, and it's like, guys, enough. We get it. We have parallels to today. If you set this when it's set, I will catch. Oh my God, that still happens today. I don't need you to anyway. And don't make it a musical. Stop making Shakespeare a musical. What was I talking about? Doesn't matter.
I feel like I've said some critical things. Like I think Jeff said. I feel like the overwhelming feeling I had. Oh yeah,
for sure.
Me too, dude. The overwhelming feeling I had when I was watching it was like, I'm so happy that, you know, a James Bond filmmaker, a cinematographer that can just name their picture and name their price. Yeah, sure. Yeah, he did 2 Bonds with them. He didn't. He didn't do Spectre. He just did Skyfall.
He
Deakins,
did.
Right? I thought he only filmed Skyfall with him. Doesn't matter. The point I'm making is that they would choose to make something, a pandemic, sure, but that they would choose to make something that was very, very isolated,
and
very small, and it wasn't small and like we've seen. I wouldn't call the cinematography pedestrian or very small. He still made the most, if you will, of a large space.
He dirtied
like
up those shots as much as he could. It was amazing.
It was great.
I mean, I have no notes. I'm not going to give notes to Uncle Deakins.
You're right. I was thinking Sam Mendes when you said 2 Bond movies. You know who the cinematographer on Spectre was? Is Hoyte van Hoytema, who's Christopher Nolan's boy.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I thought it was Hoyte. Yeah. But Dave, let's talk about it though. We love Roger so much, and it's kind of hard to imagine.
What are the 4
Sam
shots? Sorry,
it's kind of hard to imagine. No, you're good. It's kind of hard to imagine Sam Mendes, the language of his movies without Deakins filming them. I think he's done a couple without him, but this just, at least you know that you're going to get something similar with them. So what did you love about this one?
He just used every environment to its full capacity, like the abandoned theater area where like there were the birds and stuff, and just the fact that the windows like were different shades of color, like they had different. Like one of them had like CTO over it and the other one was plain. Just the fact that like they alternated and stuff like that. Little things that were in these shots that just made it a little bit real, and like it gave it character. The scenery was given character by the cinematography. But also like even outside when they're using like just a fence in the foreground to dirty up the shot. Like everything was so carefully thought out. As you'd expect.
I love, especially in something that steps on nostalgia, I love when you have the photographic images. I'm such a sucker for them. So when she leaves and you see Steven in the background when they're upstairs and she opens the door and he's in the background with the light behind him and he's in a silhouette essentially, but it's just through this one fraction of the frame. Like I'm such a sucker for that. But I love that he does that. But then also the outdoor scenes don't feel, they still feel as scaled as the inside stuff, which is cool. And of course with this, he loves high ceilings. I imagine that was like a thrill that there was height with the camera inside too, which is cool. I'm not an expert on this shit, but like that was cool. What are your 4 shots? Give me 4 shots.
I mean, I just described about 3 of them.
The fireworks one was perfect, right?
I mean, the fireworks shot was a composite, I feel.
Get the fuck again.
Yeah.
You're right,
I think it was too. That would be my guess as well. But I'm not sure.
But no, just like
you don't think he shut off fireworks in the middle just for this little
I don't think. I think that was a composite. But yeah, definitely the shots upstairs in the abandoned theater were a highlight. The shot with Tobey Jones on the stairs where they just dirtied it up with like just some railing in the foreground and stuff like that. The shots under the overpass where the neo-Nazi guys start attacking Michael Ward, and like all of those shots are like classic Deakins, but it also like it fits his style, but it also fit the film. And that's an accomplishment to fit the tone of the film with your own style. And it was just beautiful.
Dave, could you spot a pigeon with a broken wing from 100 yards away?
Are you talking with a rifle or a camera?
With a rifle or a camera? What a good response. Oh my God. What else I want to ask? I want to ask something else about this. Oh, Colin Firth. Can we talk about what a role for Colin Firth?
My God.
I have 3 scenes. I have 3 scenes. They're all despicable.
Yeah, I'm going to be as much of an asshole as possible.
And then I have to gaslight. It's like, let's go. Yeah. I'm good. Oh my God. How good is Colin Firth in this role? It's like...
Well, it's like we were talking about earlier in the week with Sadie Sink. Like, she plays a horrible, horrible fucking teenage role. Like, Colin Firth played a horrible fucking boss.
Oh my God, when she says no that one time and his response was like,
yeah,
it was you have to say it was good, because even though we want Olivia Colman to have the win.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a British film, so she's never going to have a downright out like applause moment you know what I mean? There's always going to be some nuance in there, but like, oh my God, he knew his job.
Yep.
He knew his job. He said, I can add some serious depth to this movie. This person with mental health issues, I need to be the antagonist, and I need to, I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah.
John, acting teacher, what'd you think of Colin Firth's performance?
You
great, drunk asshole. Oh my God. It's happening to him. This is what, guys, when you don't eat and then you drink a lot, he says all these glowing things. And then I look at him and you're ghostly. You're just like, oh, wow.
No, I'm listening, dude. I'm just listening to this wonderful conversation.
What are you going to eat after this
I want to echo what I already ordered
everything in the cup.
Korean barbecue.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Amazing.
Now
I want to echo what you were saying, what both of you kind of said, that there were some moments with cinematography inside the theater that are kind of like exactly what you would expect if you knew you were telling this kind of story, but especially if you knew you were dealing with that kind of cinematographer and director team, which is why I think some of the most effective moments for me with cinematography were not in the theater.
Yeah.
They were in her apartment.
Ooh.
And they were outside, where I did kind of just start to, I was thinking about the cinematography sometimes inside the theater. And sometimes I loved thinking about it. I really enjoyed the opening, which some people might say that's the most nostalgic moment where they introduced the theater, but it didn't feel like it was too much. That was kind of what I was saying earlier about how Sam walked up to the edge. I felt like Roger was doing it too. They were shots of like all these stereotypical cliches of like certain images that exist inside a movie theater, especially
one thing I have
theater.
a problem with, like, okay, they've literally walked in, turned on the lights, and the thing is full of popcorn. How fucking stale is that popcorn?
That was weird. I thought about that too. I thought about that too. But a lot of the other shots, I thought that they went up to the edge and they felt not pedestrian, but they didn't feel too glamorous for me to not think these are the kinds of images that the people who work there would see in their mind's eye. And I appreciated that. They're like, yes, it's a heightened realism kind of place because it's a movie theater, and the facade and the molding and all of the stuff inside is very ornate and pretty on purpose. But it still felt like these are the images of the memories that maybe she had of this place when she was not there, when she was in the hospital. So I felt like they did a good job of like going up to that edge. I felt like that consistently. This was a very picturesque seaside town too. That giant tidal pool, man-made tidal pool. Yeah, it was there. There were a lot of those shots that when they were having those scenes on the beach and then at that tidal pool, where I was like, dude, there's like 6 shots. There's like 6 setups in this scene, but they're so simple. Yeah, and they're so well composed that I don't really want any more because it's going to make me think about the cinematography. Sometimes I felt like the stuff inside the house, and Roger Deakins, I'm obsessed with you. I'm not saying this was a mistake, but I feel like sometimes I wasn't quite sure how they wanted me to feel about the perception of the place, the movie theater itself, because sometimes the cinematography felt like it was working against the realism that the characters were supposed to be portraying. And I know they did it on purpose. Like, obviously, these guys are too fucking, as her mental state drifted,
like it got more like that.
It got more heightened for you as
her
it
mental
drifted?
state drifted. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that's a good point because I knew they were doing it, and I felt like there's a reason why they're going in this direction, but I wasn't quite sure if it landed for me, but I don't know. I mean, it's still fucking every single shot was just absolutely gorgeous and very effective. I like that Tobey Jones. I like that he was a bit of a secret, and that we eventually got to kind of reveal. There was a heightened moment. I don't want to sugarcoat it. There was a heightened moment when, what's his name? When Michael Ward did get to go in there for the first time, and they really took their time and they established the office with the pictures and everything. But then storytelling wise, I like how they kind of skip ahead, and it's just they just kind of discuss and talk about how he's working with Tobey Jones, how Tobey Jones is letting him be there. I like how they saved
Tobey to the end, where he like finally revealed that stuff about himself, and that kind of signaled a new level of friendship between like the staff. Yeah. Like they'd opened up to each other through the events that had happened to them.
Back to slice of life by the end. Yeah. That's cool.
It came for a little bit
back
full
to
circle
slice
for
of
me.
Life. Yeah.
Because that's what that is. When you reveal those things, but not for dramatic purposes, just to reveal them. Yeah. Just so that, just for context, basically, and just to keep it moving.
And he owned that scene too.
He's brilliant. Yeah, he's brilliant. He's on the
They
Team
were my
Deakins
favorite-
podcast as well, my friends.
Tobey Jones.
Yeah, this season.
Oh, excellent. Yeah,
We should get him on here sometime.
Sure.
With Tobey Jones.
Those were
If only
definitely
we were on
those
set
were
with
definitely
him.
my those were definitely my favorite moments in this movie, though. For me personally, like, of course, I'm not going to say anything critical about things that maybe didn't work for me, because I know that they did them with intention. But the moments that felt like I was not thinking about the movie theater necessarily, and I was really just living with them in whatever scenario it was, and it made me stop thinking about filmmaking at all. Those are the moments that worked for me.
Yeah.
Like the best for sure. And it all built to what I thought was a really lovely tiny scene at the end where she kind of gets to just say goodbye to him. And
I have said before, like nice. In anything Roger Deakins shoots, there is stuff that is noticeably Roger Deakins. There's always at least one shot. So like the cinematography in a Roger Deakins, like a film Roger's working on, there will be a couple of things that distract you because it's just the shot.
It's just so pretty.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful.
Can I shout out one other acting performance? This guy, Tom Brooke, who plays Neil in this movie, who's the tall, skinny guy that is the one who smells shit. He knows that something's going on between them. He has a great episode in The Crown. He's the guy that sneaks in season 4 with Olivia Colman.
Oh, shit.
With Olivia Colman. And he sneaks in. He's the working class guy. And when Margaret Thatcher is like getting rid of all these, working class jobs, he breaks into Buckingham Palace and just is sitting there when the Queen wakes up. And he's just like, hey, I just want you to know that, it's hard for us out there. And I don't think you know that. Like, I don't think you visit us. I don't think you know what's going on. And it's hard to make do. Like, I work really hard and I don't have enough money and my family hates me and it sucks. I just want you to know that you live in this big house and I work hard too and I don't have a fancy toothbrush or a maid. And she, like, he's so good in this that the Queen doesn't even press charges. And this guy broke into Buckingham Palace. And he plays that guy. He's so good in this. He's in Preacher, Death of Stalin. He's in Pirate Radio. So he's a journeyman actor, Lambda guy. And he was a
highlight.
He just does his job because honestly, we could have easily gone through this podcast and not mentioned him, but at the same time, whatever plot there is in this movie, he is central to it.
Yes,
because he is the seer. He is the one who notices when things are going strange, when things are going awry. He is in a weird way our cue into like,
he's kind of the one. He's kind of the one who moves exposition along.
Exactly. So he knows there's something not right here. Colin Firth knows this. She's okay as long as she does this. He is this in a weird way, as far as the chi of the movie theater goes, he's the center, not her. Yeah. We think it's her, but it's not. And Colin Firth's in charge, but he's the center of this demographic. And I think he actually nailed his job. I think he nailed it, his job. So shout out Tom Brooke. Sorry, Tom Brooke.
I think the last thing I want to say is just, and this is on the page, but they really brought it off the page and made me feel it. I have not had this experience, but I have been not necessarily romantically. I have had friends who are older, like much older than me, like way older than you, Dave, like way older than our.
Jeez,
like way older than our friends.
Reaper's knocking at the door.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. It was right there.
Go fuck yourself. I have
a friend.
I wait to drink more before you eat anything.
Sure. I have anyway, that feeling at the very end where I was very aware that for Michael Ward, this was a little bit of coming of age, not for her.
That was a nice little subtle thing.
It was super, super clear to me. And that was one of the first times I had really resonated with that, as like, he's going to move on. And she says, like, you're going to have such a wonderful time in college.
Yeah.
Your life is about to begin. And I am living in Olivia Colman is living in a place where this is going to be a lovely chapter in her life that she'll never get to relive again. He's definitely not coming back, right?
Yeah.
Like, I felt like it was so clear, and it was so touching to me. I don't know. I was really, really moved by the end. And I just want to shout out one more time. The music was
amazing.
This was the most romantic score that those guys have ever written. I can't stop listening to it. It's so simple. It's their classic minimalism, but it has so much it has so much romanticism to it. I don't really know what other word to use. But.
Dave and I talked about Bones and All, so I'm curious to hear, because they did the score for Bones and All too, which is a full Americana film, also set in a very similar time period. I agree, and I feel like I was going to say something, and I think I got too drunk, so I don't remember. Sorry.
Well, it seems like a good time to wrap it up.
That it's a memory for her and coming of age for him.
Yes, because early on she says, you need to go to school, it'll be great. And even though they get into a relationship, she understands later that she can't change that mindset, that's still true. And I'm glad that they set that up in the very slice of life way. You got to go to college, it'll be great for you. This could be the beginning of the end. And then later when it happens, she is happy for him, even though she knows that she's going to lose a part of herself. It was something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Even the fact that we're having trouble talking about it and articulating it, like, that is the bullseye of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've all been kind of dancing around. We're trying to say how we felt about it, but there's a lot of ambiguity to the structure and storytelling. It did not fall cleanly into any genre, into any kind of traditional narrative
art.
A lot. And I think that's why it did. And I think that's why, like, any criticisms we may have had, I guess mostly Jeff and I, we're going to possibly feel different about this as we watch this in the future. And I can't say it enough. That thing I was saying at the beginning, I'm about to say, and what have you been watching? I saw another film that was about nostalgic of film and all that. A foreign film. So I can't wait to see this without that being the context, because I know I'm going to like it even more, and I really liked it.
I'm going to ask you a question that's impossible to answer, and I promise, Dave, you're about to mix this episode down. We're going to this is it. It's an impossible to answer, so I don't want to start a 20-minute conversation, but it's going to be talked about in this movie that they might have just thrown in the racial element of this. It's going to be talked about. It's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's not just a sign of the times that we have to talk about these things. But 1980 London, Michael Ward's character is skinheads following him. They have the abuse. They have the full-on violence at the end. Do you think that? Do you think that they're commenting on she has her problems because she has mental health, not comparing them, because this is still kind of slice of life, but when he is in trouble because of this, she is very clear-headed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I wonder if they're saying, like, we all have our issues, but this is systemic versus personal. I wonder if he's not necessarily giving us answers. I wonder if he's not even just like saying this for dramatic purposes. And obviously, if you have a mental health issue, you know, that transcends all of these kinds of things. But it is very curious that when Michael Ward gets in trouble, not because of anything that he did, because he's a brilliant, amazing person, but, you know, when his character goes through shit, she's very clear-headed. Her mental health and her illness has nothing to do with her ability to understand what's going on. Again, impossible to answer, and I don't want to finish on that. But like, do you think that is something that Sam Mendes was conscious about? Do you think he could have done better? What do you think? Really quick.
I thought all of that was handled beautifully. Like, she was not at all affected by the prejudice that was happening outside that theater.
Well, she was affected by it, but it didn't.
Well, I mean, she was affected by it, but like, she wasn't influenced by it. It was a case of, correct. I don't see why this is an issue from the get-go. That was her voice, and that was one of the things that made her like a very like empathetic character. So I feel like that was just the culmination of that.
I think maybe less about like intention, because I do think he intended that, but I don't know. I don't necessarily get into the weeds about that. I feel like it was lovely commentary on the fact that as we are moving into this new age where this is being discussed on the surface all the time, and it's wonderful that it is, there was a period of time where somebody who you think would have enough empathy to extend to someone who was under extreme circumstances was even completely in denial of it.
Yeah.
Until they literally saw it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very beautifully, I agree, definitely. It was beautifully handled that they established that. I believed it because it's fucking 1980. And, you know, they justified some things by saying she didn't really watch the news or watch the movies as much. So she wasn't thinking about what was happening the way he was, where he watched the news every night. And of course that he was black. But I really enjoyed that I don't think he was trying to say, look how far we've come by any means. I think he was just trying to say that there are certain contexts that we see these issues through, and if I show this honestly, it's a good example of how some people are just not awake to these things yet.
Yeah.
And once they are, they're very much on board.
And who's the crazy person here?
If you exist in your bubble, you're not going to deal with them, and they need to be dealt with.
Yeah.
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 Who's crazy? The person with mental health that understands these things, or the person who, quote unquote, doesn't have a mental health issue but believes things that are, you know.
Lots of fucking skinheads are the issue.
Well, yeah. But I thought they did it well.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about it at all, but I thought that sequence, once they got inside the theater, I think we all knew what was going to happen, but the shift in tone of the celebration of her birthday to what's that noise, to kind of the euphoric awe of watching the parade, to the turn of, you know, with the music and them starting to hit on the windows and stuff. That was probably the most intense part of the whole movie. And I thought they handled that well for they don't want it to make it like an action movie, but it really started to kind of raise itself into this place of, I don't know, like only filmmakers of that quality can really take something that was going to be that much of a subtle arc and then just fucking hit you in the face with it. And I thought that they nailed it really well. And it was very disturbing. Her screams in silence really bothered me. Yeah.
And the way Michael acted that, of course. All right, not to end on a downer, but it's important because it's part of the film and it is important part of the legacy. So, all right, people, thank you so much for sticking with us this long. We're gonna go quickly.
Hold on,
quick round.
I gotta pee, man. I'm just like
what you been watching?
Yeah, I'm coming back.
All right, John, you get to go first today.
Okay, hold on a second.
Are you typing up your list of what you've been seeing?
I just wanted to make sure I get this director's name right because I got to go to watch an advanced screening by a film named by Pan Nalin, Indian filmmaker, maybe Nalin. It's called The Last Film Show, which is what I was referring to. It's another kind of nostalgic piece. It's really, really good, though. I think everybody should go see it. It did not slip into sentimentality for me. This was really pure, but I would go as far to say that it might be an Indian filmmaker's look back on his cinema paradiso, a young person being introduced to cinema.
Nice.
Really good.
Timely view of that movie, I would say.
It's weird that it happened so much back to back. I also saw for the first time a movie that was on Criterion. It's called Close Up.
I love that I have your Criterion password because goddamn Criterion's great. Okay, Close Up.
It's great. By Abbas Kiarostami, an Iranian filmmaker. I had heard of this movie for a long time. I finally watched it. Really, really unique film. Made Sight and Sound's top 100 over the ages.
No shit.
Really,
the
really
new
unique.
list? The new list?
Their new final... What has still maintained the top 100 after decades of doing it. They released something recently, which is like, these still are our top 100 after reviewing a top 100 for every decade or something like that. Yeah. And then on the other edge of the spectrum, I watched the Entourage movie because I finished the Entourage series recently in my late night, didn't want to take anything too seriously watching. Yeah. I will still stand by which Dylan brother plays Johnny Drama. Jeff, help me out. What is his name?
Kevin.
Is it Kevin Dillon? Yeah, it is. Kevin Dillon and Jeremy Piven are comedic diamonds. And I'm sorry, that show is ridiculous. I know everybody has a lot of judgment for it in different ways, but they are fucking funny on that show.
Yeah.
That movie.
Yeah.
Was not good.
That movie's bad.
I will say that.
Wait,
that movie ended and I was like,
Jeremy Piven in that scene when he sits there and he was like whatever, Haley Joel Osment character, he's like, he wanted to fuck or whatever. That whole scene, Jeremy Piven was like, he knew. He was like, the scene sucks. I need to do more. And as he was doing it, you could see the shame in him, but both as the actor and the character being like, this isn't enough. Dave, do you know what we're talking about?
No.
Okay, I'm actually happy for you. Anyway. And you haven't heard of any of the other movies that
Jeremy Piven and Haley Joel Osment were in the same film?
Yeah,
how did this happen?
They were.
Yeah. It was after the Mercury situation in New York, whatever, with Jeremy.
Yeah, it was weird. So shout out to Doug Ellen, whatever, Mark Wall, all those people. Also,
there was an injury. Somebody like dislocated their shoulder during that shoot, but they just had to do it and they did it. They got their money. Great. Dave, you haven't heard of John, anything else John talked about you had never heard of for sure. Okay, what else have you been watching?
I'm gonna have to go back now.
Yeah. They all sound great.
Well, this is a 2-episode night, so I pretty much rattle off everything I've been watching because I worked 70 fucking hours because my job treats me like a robot.
Well, you watched a little bit of the World Cup. Come on, the World Cup's going on right now. These games are good.
Dude, I'm Team Morocco right now.
Yeah, go
Those
Morocco.
motherfuckers want it. That goalie is distantly related to the fucking Flash. So, yeah.
France, Morocco on Wednesday. I can't wait to watch
Not the Flash that molests people in Hawaii, like the Flash that is, like, fast.
Where's my buzzer? There
I'll do it.
Is. Okay.
I deserve it.
Great. So World Cup's going so well. I can't wait. We're recording this right before tomorrow is Argentina versus Morocco, and then France versus Croatia is the next day, I think, or something like that. No. Morocco is playing France. Yeah. Croatia is playing Argentina tomorrow. Anyway, what else have we been watching? Sex Lives of College Girls is fine. Season 1 was way, way, way better. North by Northwest. I watched North by Northwest. I'd never seen that before, and it's so great. I didn't know that it was about I didn't know what it was about. I thought it was fantastic. Yeah. God damn it, that movie's so good. I texted you about Hitchcock. That was
iconic.
Oh my god, did you see some
parodied like so good. Fuck for years.
I said this about Psycho, and I'm going to say it about North by Northwest. The reason these movies are so good is not just because he knows horror. It's because the stories are good. He just happens to be telling them through the lens of horror. But god damn it, that story is so good. There's at least
one iconic shot and everything.
And again, we think about it, the filmmaking. We think, oh, he made this film so good. He knows horror. He knows tension.
Like that plane sequence has been parodied right up to Guardians of the Galaxy. Too.
The fact that Cary Grant has no idea what's going on. It's Cary Grant, right? The fact that he has no idea what's going on. And it's all this. And then rather than sit there the whole movie and just be like, can you just tell him who he is? The fact that they show us the other side of it at a certain point is like, I as soon as they did that, where I saw the FBI and they're like, well, we can't stop now. It's like, I was like, this is so fucking good. It's so good. So North by Northwest. And then I wasn't here last week. So Wednesday in 1899, I'll just sort of reiterate that I started 1899 because I was recommended it. And I did like it, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. Every character had a secret and the show had a secret, and they were giving you these little tiny like 3-second snapshots at the end of every episode. And eventually I was like, I need more. You got to give me more. And then I started Wednesday and I watched all of Wednesday. And then I tried to go back to 1899 and I was gone. I lost it. So I haven't finished 1899. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm one episode in 1899. I'm like,
oh, it's
something going to happen.
It's good, but you can tell that they're playing secrets, and playing secrets gets old fast.
Is this a Taylor Sheridan?
No, Taylor Sheridan.
Show?
No, I love Sheridan. It's not Sheridan. Wednesday, though, I love Wednesday. I will say, I think the last episode, it was either. You can look it up. You go ahead, type. The end of Wednesday, I will say, it was one of two things. It was either written by teenagers or it was written for teenagers. Because that last episode, I was like, man, I thought they set everything up really well, and I did not love the finale. But I can't wait for season 2. I'm really happy for all of them. But that's just me. I thought everything was great. I thought they got a little too cute with the finale, personally. But
with Wednesday,
yeah, was it Ty Sheridan for 1899? I don't think
it's not. What am I thinking of? That is the
one of the
1880.
Yeah,
is that what it's called?
Yeah, those are all the Yellowstone universe.
But it's like it's the Yellowstone, but it spins off of Yellowstone and it takes place in the 19th century.
I love in 1899 that all the cultures speak the different languages. I love that they do that. That's cool.
You have to carefully select your language settings on Netflix.
Yeah.
As well.
I did.
Do not choose dubbed.
Is that Ben Affleck?
Okay, stop. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week where we're talking about Avatar: The Way of Water. You two better have your fucking tickets for Avatar: The Way of Water.
I do.
What day? Where are you going?
Monday.
What? You're going? Are you taking Monday off before our record?
Yeah, I took the day off work. Yeah.
For Avatar?
Well, also because it sucks.
You're working Saturday and Sunday?
I hope it's good, you guys.
You're working... It's nominated for best. The Golden Globes don't matter. Dave, you're nominated for. Do you know the former president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, groped Brendan Fraser, and he alleged sexual assault 15 years later. I don't know if you knew that. So there you go, Golden Globes.
I did know that.
No reason to hate them. Dave, you took off Monday. You have to work Saturday and Sunday.
No, I just took off Monday.
Oh, cool. See you guys. Good talk.
It's my birthday weekend. Fuck everyone.
Can't wait.
Good ending.
See you guys later. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, all the good stuff.
Is that Ben Affleck?
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Oh, for fuck's sake.